Podcast Studios. This is After 9 with Scott and Kat.
Hey now.
Hello, friends.
Hey, how was your long weekend?
Long weekend was good. It was busy. It was touristy. It was expensive. But yeah, overall, it was really fun.
What made you decide to do a Toronto tourist long weekend?
Yeah,
Intentionally spending money in areas that you don't need to spend money on?
You know what? The kids have been... Listen, from a kid's point of view, I understand Toronto looks cool. It's different. A lot of tall buildings. I don't live in Toronto. I think most listeners of the pod know this. So we're not around that all the time. So they think it's neat. The CN Tower, they love everything about it. So they've been asking to go back. I figure this is probably the best time to go because I don't know how much time we have during the summer months. So I thought, let's just go over the May 2-4 and check out a Jays game, which we did, which was awesome. I'm going to tell you about that in a sec. Medieval Times, I haven't been to in years. Like, I went pre-kids. Going with kids was pretty cool because they thought it was fucking amazing. Like horses and all that shit. They loved it. They give so much food at those things, by the way. Medieval Times. Do you remember? Have you been to Medieval Times?
The last time I was at Medieval Times, Dave and I did a promo there, and they made us do a Rochambeau, which is basically a dick-kicking contest.
I think I heard about that.
I had to open my legs, and he hoofed me right between them.
Yes.
And then I got to give it back to him. Now, Dave, being the wrestling fan that he is, showed me how to sell it, as Dave says.
Yeah.
And I was so shit scared that I kicked him hard because he fell on the ground like you've never believed. In any case, Medieval Times is great, but I don't remember eating there. I just kicked Dave in the nuts and I was out.
Okay, all right. So when you go, it's a dinner and tournament, right? So the tournament's fine, and you get assigned a team for those who don't. And by the way, they're not paying me for this or anything. I paid for my tickets, so it's not an endorsement by any means. But you go and you get assigned a team when you get there, right? So we were yellow, for example. We were the yellow knight who lost. But fucker,
shit.
no,
because you're shit,
weakling,
Yellow Knight.
no,
Pussy.
So we sat. So you sit there and you wait for the food, and I kind of forgot about what it was like. So your wench comes up to the table and starts serving you, but you have to eat with your hands. There's no utensils, right? Like it's supposed to be the whole atmosphere of back in the day. They didn't eat with utensils like a bunch of fucking animals,
Right.
But our wench started like delivering the food and plunked down a half a chicken on all of our plates, including my 5-year-old. She can't even eat probably less than a quarter of that. Plunks down that like a whole potato, a cob of corn, a slab of bread. Like, it was just, because that's the whole point, right? It's like a big feast. It's supposed to just be kind of a smorgasbord of things, I guess.
You just eat and watch the Yellow Knight get their ass kicked.
It was too much food. Oh, and the soup too. But it was too much food. Like, I was just like, what is this? But yeah, I don't know. That was cool. The Jays game was.
What does a ticket to Medieval Times go for these days?
Oh my God, I don't even remember.
With dinner and show, I mean, that's got to be an expensive night out.
Yeah, it was probably a couple hundo at least
For the family, that's not too bad.
Yeah, maybe a few hundred. I don't remember.
Like more than Mandarin.
I don't remember.
But there's better entertainment too.
That's right.
Got
yes.
it. Okay.
Yeah, it's not just fish tanks there. They have other things.
If they had people fighting at the Mandarin, that would be the new Medieval Times.
No, just koi fish there. Yeah, so we did that. But before that, we actually went to the Jays game, which was a great day to go. It was Sunday. Beautiful day. Like, just gorgeous. And we didn't have tickets, so we just kind of went there. And I was like, I guess we'll buy tickets in the 500s or something. But I said, fuck that. There's general admission available. This is an hour before the game started. And I knew it was kind of like a first come, first serve for the general admission. For those who haven't enjoyed it, let me tell you, if you've got young kids and you're bringing a family, you're not sure if they're going to last. Specifically, if you're not sure if they're going to last, or you just like saving money, I guess. Get the general admission. $20. We were there sitting behind the pitchers who were warming up. You could get autographs. You could talk to them. It was still an amazing experience. And it was like first in the shade, which was great too, because again, it was like a pretty hot day on Sunday. And it was amazing. I don't even understand why anyone would buy a seat when you have this option. Like, truly, because we did that before where we had seats in the 500s. And it was okay. And my kids sat there for a bit, but it's not in the action. You know what I mean? And that's fine. If you like the 500s, no problem. But for me, it's like the kids were like bored up there. So we had to go downstairs, and then I realized general admission next time. So anyway, we did it. Best deal going is that general admission. And it was Jay's junior day, so they had a bunch of like activities for the kids and shit, airbrush tattoos and all that fun stuff. Wow. So it was great.
And the girls liked it?
Loved it.
And
loved the whole day.
The best thing about general admission is you can leave. It's not like you spend
Yes,
hundreds
you
of
don't
dollars on the
care.
tickets. I mean, if
Well,
it's
that's-
$20, if you want to go, leave.
That's why I say specifically if you have young kids, you weren't sure going to last because they don't tend to last very long. So the last time we went, for example, I think that we stayed 3 innings because they were like, yeah, they were over it, right? They're not that into baseball.
It's longer than I would have lasted.
Yeah, and even for adults, for sure. Like some adults just want to, because they're in Toronto anyway. Yeah, catch a game, but they are first come, first serve. So it's usually only if you're there early enough to get a seat that you'll get a seat. Otherwise, it's standing room, and standing room's not bad either.
Got it.
Yeah.
So it was a good weekend.
Yeah, it was fun. And I stayed over in Toronto, aside from the fire alarm going off in the middle of the night at the hotel.
That's very Toronto.
We didn't leave the hotel.
No.
Have you done that? Have you had that happen where you're like, the fire alarm goes off and you're like, fuck this? Listen, there's 2 towers. We stayed at the Sheraton. So there's 2 towers. And I thought, what are the odds it's in this tower? It's really, right off the bat, it's a 50-50. That it's on this floor or around this floor. Odds get slimmer. I think I'm just going to stay put. The fire department ended up coming and the alarm went off like 3 separate times between like 12:30 and 1 a.m., but eventually stopped. And then they have the announcements in between. So this poor kid who's working the front desk is like, may I have your attention, please? Well, people are trying to sleep. May I have your attention, please? The fire crews are on the scene trying to figure out the source of the alarm. I'm like, the source of the alarm? So there's no fire? May I have your attention? 5 minutes later, like, they're still working on it. I'm like, you don't need to do this. Like, can we not?
It's 1
If
o'clock
you
in the
know
morning.
there's not, if there's a fire, please be like, get the fuck out, everybody. But otherwise, there's not. The fire alarm's still going. They had to reset the alarm system all in the middle of the night. So anyway, aside from that, it was fine. I went to the old spaghetti factory. Haven't been there in years, too.
It's amazing it's still open.
Museum of Illusions is a newer one for me. I'd never been there before, but I went there, too. And that was fun. Small, short, doesn't last long, but fine. Yeah, so we did like a whole shebang. So we don't need to go anytime this summer. We're done.
Got
It's
it.
good.
All right.
And
great.
also, how do people live there, Scott?
In Toronto, I don't understand it.
I'm not made of the same material those people are. I don't understand how any of them are comfortable at any time with all of those people around them, whether they're tourists or people who live there. I can't, it was uncomfortable walking down the street for me. I don't understand you people. Good for you if you can do it. I don't get it. Not for me, dog. Never in a million years. I think at this point, I used to say if I won like a condo downtown, if I won with those lotteries, I'd keep it. I wouldn't even fucking keep it. You can have it. I don't want to go there that often. Too many people. Too crazy. But anyway, fun for a visit. I'm glad I was a visitor. It was fun for a visit.
And you're good now till
whenever.
another year or so?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's got to be one hell of a show for me to go into Toronto these days.
Yeah.
We worked there for years and I'm done with it. I'm done. The traffic is shit.
It's horrible.
The Gardner's going to take until 2027 to fix.
Yes.
What in the actual fuck is that?
And it doesn't even look, I'm saying it,
Do
guys.
it 24/7, you assholes.
I'm going to fucking say it doesn't even look nice downtown anymore. And it's not because of the people or anything. It's the construction. There's cranes fucking everywhere you turn. No sidewalk is usable. You have to use one specific spot, which is why everyone's crammed into one direction. It's just cock awful. And they keep building condos like people want to live there. I don't understand. Why can't we spread these jobs out a little bit here? It's fine if you want to work at the main attractions. I think that's all it should be for. And getting around the city is fucking awful. Look at other cities and how they do it. They have a nice transit. They have a nice highway that goes all the way around, wraps around like an O. That's exactly what we should have in Toronto. It's fucking awful. I'm not going to be running for mayor of Toronto anytime soon, in case you're wondering.
You should. Olivia
Could you
Chow
imagine, though?
has screwed this up 10 different ways from Sunday. She's still blaming John Tory. If you ran, shit would get done.
Listen, if I ran, do you know how much of that audio they would use in those opposition commercials?
Yeah.
Fuck Toronto and fuck everyone in it.
This
Fucking hate this city.
This city is shit.
It is. It is. I mean, again, it's got some great things in there, but fuck, I wish it was easier to get to and move around in. I really do.
We are going to talk about Diddy, and we're going to talk about an interesting case involving a young driver coming up on this episode of After 9. And we're also going to talk to Sandra Zisckind, popular guest on After 9. People ask me all the time if she's going to come on. She will be on this episode. That's coming up, and she's going to weigh in on Diddy and the statute of limitations. We'll discuss that in minutes. First off, I was in the States this weekend. I get more DMs about Scott's Whedon feed that I think people think it's my product.
You're the guy, man. You're the guy, Scott.
It's not mine. I didn't invent it. I don't know who Scott is, but he's got a beautiful lawn.
Yeah,
And
our lawn looks fabulous ever since you got me that bag, by the way. Thank you for that.
Oh, you're
that
welcome.
That stolen bag works fucking wonders.
why did we ban this shit in the first place? Why did you do that, Dalton McGuinty?
Why do we do a bunch of things that we do here?
It's so stupid. We are constantly kicking ourselves in the ass and making us get inconvenienced. Oh, yeah, you can still have it, but you got to drive 2 hours and wait at the border for it.
Yeah, enjoy.
So stupid. So a lot of people have messaged me about the Whedon feed. I'll just say it again. It's just regular, run-of-the-mill, American Scott's Whedon feed. It's got the good stuff in it that'll kill the weeds and make your lawn grow. You get the Canadian stuff, you get the natural version. So that's the Cole's notes on that. I was in the great state of Indiana this weekend, Kat.
How are they doing there, Scott?
Well, America's great. Like, it's just a reality show on every corner 24/7. You could people watch for days down there. It's amazing.
Are they crazy? Are they going bananas right now? What's up with them?
They're pretty fucking mad at Joe Biden, I'll tell you that.
Oh, yeah? A lot of so is it mostly pro-Trump stuff or just like anti-Biden stuff?
It's anti-Biden stuff.
it.
I mean, there's no doubt people who support Donald Trump. It just feels like right now they're in a bit of a lull because Trump's got the criminal trial. For those who haven't been paying attention to the criminal trial, it's not going very well for the prosecution. Trump is now into his portion. We don't know yet if he's going to testify in his own defense. They're probably not going to let him, but you never know. He's a former president. If he wants to testify, he can testify. Michael Cohen, his former lawyer, is the prosecution star witness, and they've got him to admit that he did steal money from Trump. And they've got all kinds of podcast recordings of him talking about how he will fuck Trump at any opportunity he gets. In a criminal trial, seems like a good opportunity to try it. So it's falling apart. It's not going well for the prosecution. But I don't know if people are really necessarily leaning far into Trump yet. But man, do they hate Joe Biden. You drive around here, and you might see an occasional fuck Trudeau flag. Maybe. If you go into some of the rallies, you'll see a lot more of those Trudeau flags.
Yes, yeah.
You get the fuck Joe Biden and let's go Brandon flags, T-shirts, car decals. They are everywhere in America.
Yeah.
When they say Trump has got 54% and Biden's got 46%, they're fucking lying. There's no way. There is no way in hell. I was in a blue state this weekend, and I saw nothing but fuck Joe Biden signs.
Interesting.
It's crazy.
Interesting.
But anyway, I was doing some renos because it occurred to me that part of my job as dad is to not just get the kids everything they need as they're growing up and get them their degree and then send them on their way.
Do all the things.
I also have to pass on the knowledge of my great Gen X generation to the Gen Zers here.
How's that been going for you?
Oh, fuck. Do they not teach home ec or shop anymore in high school? Because, you know, there was a couple of times when I thought very basic things like, hey, Josh, make sure you go flip the breaker before I start changing light fixtures. He didn't even know where the fuse panel was.
Are you serious?
Didn't even know where the fuse panel was.
Oh, my God. That's bad.
Have I failed or did society fail you? I don't understand what went wrong here. So it was kind of home reno 101, kind of dad and son bonding time, and kind of, we got to get this place looking fucking good because you got to sell this place.
Yeah.
So, for example, in his backyard, he had a jungle in the backyard. Used to be a beautiful garden, and he let it get a little overgrown.
Sure.
That's what I thought. A little overgrown.
Now, listen, in his fairness, he's a young guy. I don't know how many of us at that age would have tended to everything around the house, but nonetheless, you could probably mow the fucking lawn, right?
He's got a degree in science. You'd think he'd understand how photosynthesis
He's
works.
not dumb. We know this. So mowing I understand your frustration. All right, so you helped with that.
The lawn, the driveway, everything. And then when it came to out back, I realized how overgrown this formerly beautiful garden was. And I looked out there, and there was like full-grown trees out there. I said to him, did you not open the back door in 3 years? How did you not notice all this was going on? So, Kat, I spent my entire Saturday rolling around in the dirt, cutting down trees and weeds. And I had like an entire truck full of trees that I had to dump. It was bad.
Wow.
But it looks amazing.
Looks good now?
If anybody's interested in purchasing a home in Indiana,
You're the guy.
I've got a great one for you.
Are home prices decent there? Like, when I say decent, I mean in comparison to a house just like that here in Ontario, and let's say in the Kitchener-Waterloo region.
Okay, so you tell me what this would cost in Kitchener.
Okay.
So there he's got about a half acre of land.
Oh, that's a lot.
It's a
Holy shit, that must have been long for you Saturday. That must have been a long fucking day. Anyway.
You have no idea.
Yeah.
Like, I won't fully
Wow.
recover from this for a
Holy
while.
shit, okay.
Like, I thought the doctor was going to phone and say, hey, I'm getting some weird notifications from your watch.
I'm sensing you're fucked.
Yeah. So this is the difference between real estate prices in America and in Canada. And I know that not everywhere in America is the same. But in Indianapolis is a great city, by the way. It doesn't get a lot of credit because it's not Miami, New York, Chicago, or LA,
Sure.
but great city. And this is a 4-bedroom bungalow on a half acre of land,
Okay.
detached garage with a workshop.
Okay.
It has got 2 bathrooms,
Okay.
parking for 12.
Holy shit. Okay.
It's under $200,000.
Shut the fuck up.
How much would that be in Kitchener?
I was about to guess US even. I was about to guess, oh, that's got to be at least 500.
It's $1.5 million here, is what I think it would be
Well,
here.
that's what I mean. I was about to guess for there 500.
Yeah,
For
no.
here, it would be closer to 1.1 minimum.
I honestly don't understand why more Canadians are not buying real estate in America before they cut it off. You know how we cut off international buyers here? You can't buy a place unless you live here?
Right.
Before they pull that shit in America, everyone here should buy something there. Even if you team up with your
Yeah.
neighbors, your grandparents, your parents, whomever, buddies, buy something there because it's going to keep going up. And right now, it's still cheap. I recommend Florida, but Indiana's a great option too if you're
Florida's
interested.
good. I always fantasy retire in my mind. You know how we all do that, like fantasy, like where would I go? I think Florida. I know everyone goes to Florida when they retire. It's such a common thing for people to do that, right? But it really is a good spot.
It's a Canadian
A lot
tradition.
of different. It really is.
That's where freedom lives in America. In
Freedom
Florida.
and Gators. Fucking right.
Let's get to what I think is probably the biggest story from this weekend. A quick background. Diddy is a piece of shit. And
Just to recap.
just to recap, P. Diddy is a piece of shit. And now we know that he's a piece of shit. So what he did was, this was 2016 in a hotel in LA. And there was talk of an incident between him and his girlfriend, Cassie. And he denied it. She threatened to sue him because of this years later, and they reached some sort of a settlement. We thought that was it. These FBI raids are not necessarily related to the Cassie stuff. The FBI raids are more related to the child sex trafficking and things like that. Those allegations, as far as we know. Well, over the weekend, video drops. Actual video of Diddy violently assaulting Cassie, caught on camera. And then Diddy come, and it was a hard video to watch. I didn't even watch the whole thing, to be honest with you.
Same here. Same here. All I needed to watch was the beginning and know that she was clearly attempting to leave, heading to an elevator with her hood up and everything. Whatever happened inside that hotel room, we'll probably never know unless Cassie reveals it. I don't know what she signed with Diddy. Is the scary thing, right? Because sometimes a part of settlements, and they did settle previous to earlier this year, they settled. Did she sign something to not talk? We do know that through her lawyer, though, her lawyer did release a statement. And I mean, confirming what she was trying to tell us, like he is a piece of shit. It's difficult, he says, to reflect on the darkest times in your life. I'm not buying any of his apology video that he put out at all. Actually, do we have some of that?
That's what I was going to
Okay,
play.
let's do that.
It's so difficult to reflect on the darkest times in your life. But sometimes you gotta do that. I was f***ed up. I mean, I hit rock bottom, but I make no excuses. My behavior on that video is inexcusable. I take full responsibility for my actions in that video. I'm disgusted. I was disgusted then when I did it. I'm disgusted now. I went and I sought out professional help. I had to go into therapy and go into rehab. I had to ask God for his mercy and grace. I'm so sorry, but I'm committed to be a better man each and every day. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm truly sorry.
Much like these narcissistic fucks that get caught, that apology was all about himself and not an apology to anyone.
Am I wrong, or did he not apologize to Cassie in that video?
No, he didn't. I don't know what that would have even done at that point if he did. But she did point that out through her lawyers. They did point that out. It's funny that he'll apologize because it really is about them. It's not about the people that they hurt in a lot of these cases with these types of people. It's about getting caught. That's all it really is. Getting caught doing that. Now listen, here's the thing too. We know that she was right about the abuse, the physical abuse. That's all we can see. Does that mean automatically that she's right about all of the other allegations. You know, it got really fucking gross, the allegations against him from her. And I tend to believe Cassie. I have since the beginning, but I believe him. There's a lot more. I believe in the druggings. I believe that shit happened. That we don't have the evidence, or maybe the FBI does. Are they going to use it? Do they hide it? Are they also worried? There's a lot of speculation that there's police officers that are involved in this, that are trying to keep it hush-hush. I mean, it'll be an interesting little while stuff unfolds with this case, but I hope it does continue to unfold because I think it's really important to out these fuckers.
I'm also wondering what happens now. I mean, they said they can't lay charges because there's a statute of limitations on that.
Correct,
Meaning,
yeah.
if enough time has gone by, they can't lay charges. We're actually going to talk to Sandra Zisckind about this very phenomenon coming up on the pod. That is going to be a couple minutes away in part 2. But, you know, I'm also wondering who released this tape. It's been around since 2016. People have known about this tape since 2016, meaning somebody was paying to keep it concealed. There's no way somebody had that and they were just hanging on to it for a rainy day and decided all of a sudden in 2024. It seems like whoever, it's almost a little Epsteinish. And I'll tell you why. They protected Epstein like they would protect their own mother. And then one day, we're not protecting you anymore. He got arrested. And it seems like Diddy was in a very similar position. We will protect you. This video, the assault that you did on your girlfriend, Cassie, don't worry. We'll make sure that video never sees the light of day. But now that FBI raids are going on and shit like that, it seems very, very suspicious that this video comes out. Are they blackmailing him? Was he told, hey, we're going to drop this video unless you pay? Probably pay again. What led up to the release of that video and why now? That's what I'm wondering.
Yeah, and the DA's office did comment on it there. And like Scott mentioned, the statute of limitations kicks in, and we're going to talk to Sandra about that on the way. But they say, this is the statement they put out, because people are like, why can't you do something? This is fucked up, right? We find the images extremely disturbing and difficult to watch. If the conduct depicted occurred in 2016, unfortunately, we would be unable to charge as the conduct would have occurred beyond the timeline where a crime of assault can be persecuted. However, they do say they encourage any victims or witnesses of a crime to come forward and report it if there's anything else that you would like to basically come forward with. So now's kind of the open door for people who might know something or have something on Diddy to step forward and hand that over to the DA's office.
I wonder if they put the video out to try and get more people to come forward.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. Like, I think this was to open the door. I really do. But still, it begs the question, who had it and who put it out? Who had it this long? Who got their hands on it? Was it them? Is there someone behind it from the police department? Like, I mean, lots of questions here. And I feel like we may never know all of the answers to what's happening, especially in Hollywood. It's really fucked up, Scott.
Okay, we'll come back to the Diddy stuff. That we will talk to Sandra about coming up in a few minutes right here on After 9. The federal government yesterday unveiled the new National Action Plan on Combating Auto Thefts, Cat. The finance minister, Chrystia Freeland, was in Brampton, where she announced that we will... It's amazing. They had a whole summit on this. Do you remember last year when they had a summit on it?
Oh, yeah.
It took until now to roll the plan out.
Oh.
That's how long it took them to come up with a plan.
They really move fast, don't they?
It's so bad. So it will include more intelligence sharing amongst police forces and a working group involving all levels of government. It also calls for more intervention at ports. Canada Border Services Agency is going to expand the searches of shipping containers in a bid to stop vehicles from being sent overseas. They're also, no, that's about it. Putting in scanners at the Port of Montreal is a brilliant idea. It would have been even smarter a year ago when we said it.
We talked about it. Damn it, that was our idea. Come on.
What is wrong with these people?
I don't know.
That's all they had to do. Hey, how are the cars getting out of Canada? In shipping containers. Okay, where? Mainly the Port of Montreal. But these ships can stop just about anywhere along the Great Lakes and get loaded up. Okay, so do we have scanners scanning the shipping containers? No, we don't. Why?
What's
wrong with you
when
people?
We know what, and that's the messed up thing, is we know what's happening.
Everybody knows.
You know where it's going. You know where it is. But still, you're not doing it. And, well, I'm sorry, you're doing it eventually and slowly. Why is that, though? I have so many questions about these people in power. Let me tell you.
They are up to something.
I don't like it.
A new study published today has linked the legalization of cannabis with a rise in the number of Ontario seniors visiting emergency rooms. The report is in JAMA for internal medicine. It found people over 65 checked into the ER in increasingly large numbers in the last 8 years. Specifically, spikes occurred after the legalization of cannabis, and then again after the legalization of edibles. So all that time and effort spent worrying about the kids getting into the candies.
Which, I mean, I still do. I get it. People have to be responsible.
Sure. It was grandma and grandpa that bit off a little more than they could chew. I find it funny that they call it cannabis poisoning. It's not cannabis poisoning. You're just overly high.
I wondered that too, because it can't kill you, right?
No. Maybe,
Unless you
I don't
get
know.
so, well, here's the thing. You could get so fucking high that you do something dangerous, right?
True.
There's that.
Yep.
Okay, so we all understand that. I'm just wondering what it's like when you're working in the ER, and then you get you get like a 70-year-old person or whatever comes
Wandering in.
or they're probably being assisted, hopefully, by somebody else who's completely sober and realizes, you took too many fucking cookies, Sharon. You're supposed to take a half of one max at one time. Max! I took 6. So then you go into the ER, like, fuck, I'm going to die, right? And then, like, working in healthcare in those moments where you realize, like, we just got to help this person while they come down from the high. And I know there's things that they can do to help out, which is great. That's fine. But it must be entertaining. I've been there before where I've taken too much. It was a homemade cookie.
Oh, those are the dangerous ones.
Listen, I haven't seen him in a while, but I'm going to yell at him again next time I see him. It's my husband's cousin. You fucker. Now, he's a chef. He's an actual chef, and he made these cookies. You can't taste a thing. But this was the first experience with edibles I ever had. This is years ago. But it's the first experience with edibles I ever had. So I had no idea how much to take. So I can see how this happens. This could happen to anyone. You look at a cookie and you think, but I won't take the whole cookie. But even a half cookie's too much. Even a quarter cookie could be too much for you. And sure enough, a quarter cookie, I'll tell you right now, Scott, way too fucking much for me. I spent the whole night thinking I was going to die. I'm like, I'm going to fucking die. This is where it ends. I couldn't sleep. It was fucking brutal.
So you got the paranoia, did you?
I had massive paranoia. Massive paranoia. Where really to this day, I'll do a little bit of edibles at max on the rare occasion, but I'm seriously not kidding when I tell you I take like if the whole package is like 10 milligrams, I will have like 1/4 of one chocolate. Like
Really?
That's how bad it hits me.
Huh.
But you got to know yourself. And sometimes you just don't, no matter how old you are, you don't know.
Can I tell you a little bit more about the greatness of America?
Yeah.
So America has a patchwork when it comes to cannabis laws. For example, you cannot use recreational cannabis in Ohio or Indiana. Those are 2 of the 3 states that I had to go to. However, you can get it in Michigan. And if you cross the border into Michigan, Detroit area, you're going to see billboards about every 100 feet advertising different pot shops. Their pot shops operate very much like their alcohol stores. Privately owned. They have to follow rules and regs, but they're privately owned individuals trying to make a buck. So I went to a place. It's one of the last counties before you leave Michigan and enter Ohio. It's called Monroe. So I'm in Monroe, Michigan on Friday, and I thought, man, you can't get any weed in Ohio and Indiana, so I'm going to stop here and stock up. So I went into this pot shop. Second time I've been there. They knew that because when you go in, you scan your driver's license. So I scanned my license. Didn't love doing that, but all right, fine. I really wanted some pot. So I go in there, and they said, oh, hello, Mr. Fox. This is your second visit here. And I thought, yeah, where's this going? Yeah, it's my second visit. Said, okay, great. As a returning loyal customer, want to let you know that if you spend $25 today, we've got a special treat for you. And I thought, I could spend $25. Let's see what's going on here. So I shopped around, got a couple of pre-rolls, powerful stuff. It was good, stuff that we don't have here. And then they said, okay, you spent $25 and you're a returning customer, so you get our bonus today. It was a bag of edibles, candies, 200 milligrams of them. Free.
Great.
Why can't we have shit like that here? Why can't, if I am loyal to a particular pot shop, why can't they say, hey, returning customers, come in and spend $20 and you get a free doob tube or something like that? Why can we not? We can't even do that with alcohol, let alone cannabis. It's another example of how our rules are archaic here.
I know some places have loyalty programs and point systems. The one by my house, for example, the only one that I've ever gone to, like I said, I don't buy it often enough to even know. I don't even know how many points I have. I don't get it often. But do they not work? Do those loyalty points not add up to things?
Not that I've ever discovered.
Really? Well, maybe you need to go to different pot shops. The cool part about pot shops, as opposed to like LCBOs, which are controlled by the government, is that they do have freedom to do that. Let's do a call out to podcast listeners. Is there one that does give you something? Because I bet you there is one out there.
Coming up in just a sec, we will talk to Sandra Zisckind from Diamond and Diamond Lawyers. First off, a couple more quick things that I want to blow through. Casino. $5 bet wins $2 million.
Lucky son of a fuck.
It's a Connecticut man. He made a side bet, and apparently you can only do this at certain casinos in Vegas. He was at the Venetian Resort. He was playing 3-card poker back on May the 10th. He was dealt a spade royal flush. That unlocks the mega tier of the Millionaire Progressive. So they said, do you want to make the side bet? He said, all right, $5. He won. So he won $1,904,062. You can play the Millionaire Progressive on multiple table games throughout the Venetian and Palazzo casinos, including Ultimate Texas Hold'em, 3-card poker, Let It Ride, Crazy 4 Poker, and Mississippi Stud. A $5 bet turned into $2 million? That's fucked up.
It's fucked up. That's great. Good for them. I wonder how many people just pass that by, right? And go, no, I don't want that.
It seems like an add-on, right? Hey, do you want to pay an extra $2 and get an apple pie?
You're not going to get my extra shit. You're not going to get $5 more from me.
We had a good discussion on the radio show today, and if you're listening in London, what's up, London? Love being on Fresh Radio every afternoon. Barrie, we are still on in Barrie. They just moved us to the prestigious 10 p.m. slot.
For now.
Yep. That's great, too. Well, it's about a woman who is on Reddit asking for a little advice from strangers. She met a great guy. He's a doctor. He studied biology, Ivy League education. She likes him a lot. Didn't have any reason at all to question this guy's backstory until just the other night when she walked into her local Taco Bell, and lo and behold, who was working at Taco Bell? It's her boyfriend.
Wait a minute, doctor.
You're not on call at the ER. You work
here?
at fucking Taco Bell. This guy was pretty good. He must have been convincing because he had her convinced he was a doctor. Nope. He works at Taco Bell. She pretended, by the way, she didn't see him. Just kept looking forward, dealt with the kid who was helping her out, took her order, and was on her way. Now she's on Reddit asking, should she dump him? Because she's kind of fallen in love with him. Is there any salvaging this relationship, Kat? Can you rebound from, sorry, I told you I'm a doctor. I'm not. I work at Taco Bell part-time.
No, I mean, no, it's the lying for me. It's not even the fact that where you work. It's the dishonesty. That's a huge red flag. That person's got a lot of issues, clearly. And steer clear, girl. Steer clear. Steer clear from someone who will lie to you. How awkward is that, though, by the way? Like, I mean, she didn't say anything to him?
No, she pretended she didn't see him. Just kept looking forward, look at your phone.
Classic move. Pretend you don't see them when you don't want to interact with them.
I feel like they always saw me. I've seen people do that too. And even when you spot someone at the grocery store or something, you don't want to talk to them. Like, I know who you are. You know who I am. I don't want to talk to you.
We don't need to do this. Yeah. We need to go through these motions. No, in this particular case, I mean, we got texts in about this. And they range from laughing pretty hard about the fact that he got away with pretending he had a doctor's salary when he works at Taco Bell. If that's even the case, we don't know. It's how that happened to somebody. So this person said they were in their 20s and they started dating someone who was 30. And they took the guy pretty seriously. He claimed that he worked in a warehouse and he was pretty high up. She saw him walking down the street in his Quiznos uniform.
Quiznos.
Yeah. And listen, it's not about that. It's about the lying. If you like somebody, you like them. If they don't like you because of where you work, they're not for you, bud.
In fairness to the guy, though, the woman herself says in this Reddit thread, I don't know if I would have started dating him if I knew he was a Taco Bell employee and not a doctor. In other words, this opened up the door. Now she's in love. He may have actually gotten the girl.
I would be shocked. Fine, if that's what makes you happy, lady. But the fact that he lied to you about that, he's a little deceitful. As a human, I would be very, very cautious of that.
Okay, we got to take a break. Coming up in a few seconds, I think, you're probably going to hear something from Alan Cross here, likely. And then after that, we'll talk to Sandra Zisckind from Diamond and Diamond Lawyers. All right, let's bring in Sandra Zisckind, a popular guest here on the After 9 podcast. Hey, Sandra, how you doing?
Good. How are you guys?
We're great, thank you.
Did you have a good long weekend?
I did. I had an exhausting long weekend, like most people. I think it's more for the children, not for us.
Yeah.
I decided.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I totally hear what you're saying.
Yes.
So we've had a lot of requests to have you back on, and there's a couple of things that we wanted to talk to you about today. I think by now a lot of people have maybe seen or at least heard about it. I mean, we know there's allegations against Diddy, and those are allegations, and we know FBI raided his home. That we know of. But then over the weekend, a video was, I'm going to say leaked, because we don't have a source, but we know it occurred at a hotel of him and his ex-girlfriend Cassie. And a lot of people are wondering, how can they not charge this guy for beating the heck out of his girlfriend in front of this elevator, to the point where the police had to issue a statement there to kind of clear up the reasons why, and that being it was too long ago. Why is it that for some things that happened a long time ago, people can have a trial and get convicted, but other things it not be? Like for a lot of people, it doesn't make sense, you know?
Right. So the whole thing is we don't want the police wasting their time on allegations from a long time ago unless it's the most serious thing. And obviously beating your wife is serious. But for example, let me put it in this context. There's no statute of limitations on murder because murder is considered obviously such an extremely serious crime that we don't want people to ever get away from it. But think of an assault not on a woman. Think of two guys who got in a bar fight 20 years ago. Do we really need police resources wasting time investigating a crime from 20 years ago? No. So assault is not going to be considered one of them. Murder certainly will be. And the more serious the crime, the more leeway the court gives and the more we have a statute of limitations. So that's basically what it is. The better question is what was the cover-up at the time to make sure that he was in charge?
Right.
Right.
I mean, really.
You know, I mean, this was caught on video. Somebody saw this way back in 2016 when it happened, and they chose not to put the video out. Now, what I find interesting here is Diddy has denied this all along. Now that the video's out, he's admitting he did it. And it still seems weird that the cops are helpless to prosecute this guy.
Correct. So he's admitting it specifically because he knows that he can't do it. But I think what's happening now is somebody's poisoning the well and saying, for such a long time, which we saw with many people, including the Jeffrey Epsteins of the world, Harvey Weinsteins of the world, where people were covering up for them. Then they're like, oh, no, we're not doing that anymore. This guy is actually a really, really bad guy. Information starts to leak. Jury pools get spoiled. And that's what people want to know is, hey, this guy is not with the facade that he put out there.
Do we have a statute of limitations in Canada?
We do have statutes of limitations on everything in Canada. But, for example, like in civil lawsuits, I'll give you another good example. So, you cheat somebody out of a contract, it's 2 years. You can't be going after people 10 years, 15, 20 years. However, you want to sue somebody for sexual assault, there's no statute of limitations because sexual assault is such an important thing. And oftentimes victims don't come out right away because of the embarrassment or because of everything else. So again, the statute of limitations runs with how serious the crime is or how serious the civil lawsuit is.
Got it. Okay, let's switch gears here because there's another interesting case that I think affects just about everybody who would be listening to this pod. Mason Prima is an 18-year-old from Saskatoon. He was pulled over going through the McDonald's drive-thru. There was a motorcycle cop behind him, and the cop noticed that he was using his phone. So the cop goes up and knocks on the window and says, "Hey, I saw you on your phone. Give me your license and registration." And the kid said, "Look, it's the McDonald's app. I have to give them my code or I don't get my points." The cop didn't care. He wrote him up for distracted driving. Now, Mason's lawyer here says that, no, you're not allowed to use your phone while driving, but his cell phone usage at the drive-thru was not a threat to those around him, and the cop probably should have let it go. But the lawyer says he wants to explore this in court, and they're going to have their day in July. How do you think this is going to go?
So this is the problem. See, the problem is this is always the problem. We have facts, and then people are like, well, in this circumstances, it should have been allowed. but then take this circumstance, apply it to other things, and think of how it could tumble down. How many of us have been at a red light when somebody is looking at their phone and don't see that the light turned green?
Every day.
Exactly. So technically, when you're stopped at the red light, you're not a danger to anybody. You're stopped. You're actually stopped. So if you look at your phone, but like everybody else, we don't always look up on time to see the green. So anytime you're driving a car or in usage of a car, you're not supposed to be doing anything else except that car. And yes, a drive-through, but then we would have to make a whole host of exceptions for like when you're in a drive-through, when you're here, when you're there. The idea is you're not supposed to be using it, full stop. I know it doesn't make sense in this situation, and it's silly in this situation. I agree 100%. But the problem is you start to apply it across the board, and then we're going to have the drive-through exception. We're going to have the I was stopped at a red light exception. We're going to have all these exceptions, and it's not workable for police.
Right. And another text that came in when we were talking about this on our show was, well, this is private property. They shouldn't be allowed to do it on private property, which I'm not even sure if that's necessarily true for a fast food joint or a mall or any number of businesses. But it's true. Once you get into that, there's driveways, there's all kinds of different places. So you kind of have to make it one thing across the board, I assume.
Correct, because at some point it becomes, the idea is texting and driving is really such a dangerous and difficult situation, and the cops are trying to crack down on it. Did the cop use his discretion in a weird way? We can all agree, yes. He probably just hated this kid and wanted to get back at him, because it's a really weird case to give no person would actually think to give a ticket then. He sounds like he's just annoyed by this child taking too long at this thing, and he's like, I'm going to give you a ticket because you're being an idiot. But I think in general, yes, you're not supposed to be touching your phone when you use a car.
Okay, so when the judge eventually rules in July, and there's no reason to think that they'll rule any different than what you just said, that's a perfectly reasonable thing. Does that mean that McDonald's should, and all of the fast food restaurants, should stop asking for the app in the drive-thru?
Well, then it begs the question, too, because don't you have to stop anyways and hand them their phone to sometimes pay for it?
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah, you do.
Right?
Yeah.
So, again, it's a difficult situation. It's going to, maybe, as I'm talking to you, I'm convincing myself otherwise.
Yeah, because it's a strange one, right?
As a good lawyer, it's a strange one because I'm thinking about how many times you have to give them your Apple Pay, right? That's on your phone, or even a credit card.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and everything's going to the phone now. That's how it is.
Correct. So I'm thinking that the judge might just have to carve out they might have to carve out certain exceptions, like the drive-through, because you do have to use your phone to function at a drive-through in particular, only because of the transaction that happens.
But it would also make such a strange layer to, let's say someone is distracted on their app trying to find their code and ram into the person in front of them. So what happens in that case, right?
Correct. So it's all. Again, we're all trying to figure out how technology moves quicker than the rest of us and the law. So we're going to have to figure out all sorts of exceptions to it. And it looks like this might be one of it. Like I came into it thinking one thing, and I, like a good lawyer, I talked myself out of it and now think that maybe there should be exceptions because I'm just thinking myself, like when I go through in the morning through Tim Hortons, I give them the phone, right? More times than not.
Yeah, hey, it keeps your job exciting, Sandra. I got to say, there's always new things popping up.
It wasn't exciting enough. Yeah, it wasn't exciting enough. I needed it to be more exciting.
And more drama.
Yes, more interesting things happening. Absolutely.
Love it. Sandra, thank you as always for your time. We always appreciate talking to you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for having me on.
Hey,
anytime.
No problem. If you need legal advice in just about any area, make sure you call Diamond & Diamond Lawyers at 1-800-567-HURT or diamondlaw.ca. Sandra, we'll talk to you in a couple of weeks.
Thanks, guys. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
I love talking to Sandra. She's great, isn't she?
She is. She's awesome. Always great. We gave out the contact info, but make sure you reach out to Diamond & Diamond if you have any questions. And if you have anything you want us to ask Sandra too, by all means, next time we have her on, we could try to run through some listener questions. No problem.
Anytime Sandra's on, our downloads are real high, so I think people like that segment. That's good. Got to go, everybody. We are back from the long weekend. New episodes out every day this week. You have a fantastic one. It is crazy hot in southern Ontario right now. 34 degrees Celsius with the humidity today is fucking perfect.
Yeah, it's insane. I think the cloud cover will be a savior for some people because if you don't like it hot, you'll want to stay inside for sure.
See you tomorrow, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Tom Brady revealed that he has regrets about last week's Netflix roast, saying he didn't like the way it affected his kids. But that isn't stopping him from performing in tomorrow night's Netflix roast of Tom Brady's kids.
The Westminster Kennel Club Dog Show has selected a miniature poodle named Sage as the winner of the title Best in Show, while the loser is once again every human participating in this event.
TikTok is now testing hour-long videos. Ooh. Yeah, hour-long TikToks even has a cool name, YouTube.
A high-end fashion brand is selling a pair of jeans for $800, which appear to have a pee stain on the front. Jeans with a pee stain on the front? Please, I can make those in my sleep.